During a Senate hearing on protecting children online, Meta's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, apologized to parents who believe their children were victimized by the company. Hear what he and other CEOs from TikTok, Snapchat, X, and Discord told the lawmakers about their platforms and efforts to regulate them. This is C-SPAN's Short Take.
Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these
Well,
are
try
serious
this again.
issues.
Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your money?
I think these are
with your money.
Senator, these are complicated issues.
No, that's not a complicated question, though. That's
Senator,
a yes or no. Will you set up a victims' compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's my job is to
Sounds
make
like
sure
a
that we
no.
build good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. Are you here? You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands. You have a product. You have a product that's killing people. When we had cigarettes killing people, we did some about it, maybe not enough. You're going to talk about guns, we have the ATF. Nothing here. There's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. You can't be sued. Now, Senator Blumenthal and Blackburn, who've been like the dynamic duo here, have found emails from your company where they warned you about this stuff, and you decided not to hire 45 people that could do a better job of policing this. So the bottom line is you can't be sued. You should be. And these emails would be great for punitive damages. But the courtroom's closed to every American abused by all the companies in front of me. Of all the people in America we could give blanket liability protection to, this would be the last group I would pick. It is now time to repeal Section 230.
When a Boeing plane lost a door in mid-flight several weeks ago, nobody questioned the decision to ground a fleet of over 700 planes. So why aren't we taking the same type of decisive action on the danger of these platforms when we know these kids are dying? We have bills that have passed through this incredibly diverse committee when it comes to our political views that have passed through this committee, and they should go to the floor.
Zuckerberg, yes, there are a lot that is slipping through. It appears that you're trying to be the premier sex trafficking
Of course
site
not, Senator.
in this country.
Senator, that's ridiculous.
No,
Senator,
it is not ridiculous. You want to turn around and tell these people
content
that.
on our platforms, and
Why don't you take it down?
We do take it
We
down.
are here discussing.
We do
We
more
need
work to
you
take it
all
down
to
than-
work
than-
with
than-
us.
than-
No, you're not. You are not. And the problem is, we've been working on this. Senator Welch is over there. We've been working on this stuff for a decade. You have an army of lawyers and lobbyists that have fought us on this every step of the way. You work with NetChoice, the Cato Institute, Taxpayers Protection Alliance, and Chamber of Progress to actually fight our bipartisan legislation to keep kids safe online. So are you going to stop funding these groups? Are you going to stop lobbying against this and come to the table and work with us? Yes or no?
Senator, we have a...
Yes or no?
Of course we'll work with you on the legislation.
Okay,
I mean,
the
it's been
door
hard
is
to...
open. We've got all these bills. You need to come to the table. Each and every one of you need to come to the table, and you need to work with us. Kids are dying.
Let me point to this, Mr. Chu. There was a report recently that compared hashtags on Instagram to hashtags on TikTok, and what trended, and the differences were striking. So, for something like hashtag Taylor Swift or hashtag Trump, researchers found roughly 2 Instagram posts for every 1 on TikTok. That's not a dramatic difference. That difference jumps to 8-to-1 for the hashtag Uyghur. And it jumps to 30-to-1 for the hashtag Tibet. And it jumps to 57-to-1 to the hashtag Tiananmen Square, and it jumps to 174-to-1 for the hashtag Hong Kong protest. Why is it that on Instagram, people can put up a hashtag Hong Kong protest 174 times compared to TikTok? What censorship is TikTok doing at the request of the Chinese government?
None. Senator, that analysis is flawed. The analysis is flawed. It's been debunked by other external sources like the Cato Institute. Fundamentally, a few things happen here. Not all videos carry hashtags. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you cannot selectively choose a few words within a certain time
Why the
period.
difference between Taylor Swift and Tiananmen Square? What happened in Tiananmen Square?
Senator, there was a massive protest during that time. But what I'm trying to say is our users can freely come and post this content.
Why would there be no difference on Taylor Swift, or a minimal difference, and a massive difference on Tiananmen Square or Hong Kong?
Senator, could you wrap up, please?
Senator, our algorithm does not suppress any content simply based on this.
To answer that question, why is there a difference?
Like I said, I think this analysis is flawed. You're selectively choosing some words over some periods. We haven't been around as long as other apps.
There is an obvious difference. 174-to-1 for Hong Kong compared to Taylor Swift is dramatic.
Mr. Spiegel, there are a number of parents whose children have been able to access illegal drugs on your platform. What do you say to those parents?
Well, Senator, we are devastated that we cannot
To the parents, what do you say to those parents, Mr. Spiegel?
I'm so sorry that we have not been able to prevent these tragedies.
And everyone knows that kids who spend a lot of time, too much time on your platforms are at risk. And it's not just the mental health issues. I mean, let me ask you another question. Is your platform safe for kids?
I believe it is, but there's an important difference between correlation and causation.
Because we're not going to be able to get anywhere. We want to work in a productive, open, honest, and collaborative way with the private sector to pass legislation that will protect Americans, that will protect American children above all, and that will allow businesses to thrive in this country. If we don't start with an open, honest, candid, realistic assessment of the issues, we can't do that.
Who will support the Kids Online Safety Act? Yes or no? Mr. Citron.
There are parts of the act that we think are great.
No, it's a yes or no question. I'm going to be running out of time, so I'm assuming the answer is no if you can't answer yes.
We very much think that the national privacy standard would be great.
Mr. Siegel?
Senator, we strongly support the Kids Online Safety Act, and we've already implemented many of its core provisions.
Thank you. I welcome that support, along with Microsoft's support. Mr. Chu?
Senator, with some changes, we can support it.
Well, in its present form, do you support it? Yes or no?
We are aware that some groups have raised some concerns. It's important to understand
I'll take that as a no. Ms. Yaccarino?
Senator, we support COSA and will continue to make sure that it accelerates and make sure it continues to offer community for teens that are seeking that voice.
Mr. Zuckerberg?
Senator, we support the age-appropriate content standards, but would have some suggestions
yes or no,
on how to implement
Mr. Zuckerberg? Do you support the Kids Online Safety Act.
Senator,
It's a
I think
measure
these are
that is
nuanced
public,
things.
and I'm just asking whether you'll support it or not.
These are nuanced things. I think that the basic spirit is right. I think the basic ideas in it are right.
To watch this entire hearing, visit cspan.org or our free app C-SPAN now.